We're
Okay.
gonna start. We'll start stopping along the way.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rusty 78609, and I'm at the Visitor Center in Lincoln, New Mexico. And this is where you can come and see a movie or whatever about the town. But this gentleman here does guided tours, and your name is
Brandon Dixon.
Brandon Dixon. And
Yes, sir.
Brandon, you live in the area, right?
Yes, sir.
Let me back off so I can let everybody see your attire. Now, those six guns, are they representative of the era?
Yes, sir. These are all period correct.
Period, correct?
And all unloaded.
Thank you.
Just to verify after recent state events.
Oh,
not to
no,
name
I
any
heard.
names.
No, I got you. And the dog's name again is?
Trooper.
Trooper, okay. And you're going to take me on a little tour of.
Lincoln, New Mexico. It's the most dangerous street tour in America.
All right, we'll
That's
lead
right.
on. Let's do it.
All right. Well, first we'll get started. I'm here. This is your first time here in Lincoln as a tourist, or just?
Oh, I've been through here many times.
Okay, because I've seen some of your videos. I didn't know
Yeah.
if you've been inside and learned a little bit. So you know about Billy the Kid.
Yes.
All right.
But you tell me whatever you know. We'll listen to you.
All right. Well, there's way more that happened here than just Billy the Kid. All right. In the 1870s alone, we had over 50 people killed just on this street. It's about half a mile long. That's what led to it being called the most dangerous street in America. We had 44 shootings, 6 lynchings, 2 stabbings, a poisoning, and even one poor guy hung legally hanged twice.
That's not bad.
Right over there. Terrible way to go.
I'd say that.
But before Billy the Kid got here, which was the late 1870s, in the early 1870s, there was a lot of trouble here too. That's what we're going to start out with right up here when we get up here.
Lead on.
All right, let's go.
Just remember when you get ready to tell me something, face the mic so my hard of hearing crowd.
Yes, sir.
You got,
I give tours to big tour groups, and sometimes there are older people that have hearing aids and
Yes.
stuff, so I have to step up and be loud.
yeah, it's not a natural thing, to talk loud.
My wife will tell you that my Army training comes in real handy when it comes to talking loud.
Well, good.
She's real good at telling me to quiet down.
I love those pistols, man.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you
How-
look more credible when you're just like a cowboy as opposed to
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
a biker covered with tattoos.
No, I got you. Well, how old was Billy the Kid or William Bonney when he arrived here?
Well, what people think is he was in his late teens when he got here. What we think of usually that goes around with Pat Garrett's story is he was 18 or 19. But there's evidence that's coming out lately that he could have been as young as 15 when he first got here.
Wow.
I think there's some stuff being published soon about that.
Well, let me ask you this: was he really a bad kid, or was he just made bad by the environment?
I think they just clung to his name, and that's an easy thing for them to sell. And then generation after generation has been able to cling to him as a hero, you know.
Well, yeah, the dime
So,
novelist. I
Yeah,
guess.
absolutely.
Yeah.
As far as him personally, I think he was just a guy trying to get by in the time he was in.
Yeah.
And he's famous for his escapes, but honestly, who wants to get locked up? So.
No, I'd have done the same thing. Done the same thing.
And at that time, if you could get away, you could get away. So
Yeah, you can. That's right.
why not start there? All right, Trooper said.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so long before Billy the Kid got here, there was a family from Texas by the name of the Horrells. Troublemaking family from Texas, as many Texans often are when they come to New Mexico. This family was no exception. They had a problem living with the Hispanic community where they were in Central Texas, so they naturally moved to Lincoln County, which had a mostly Hispanic population. So tensions began to flare up pretty quickly. And in December of 1873, if you look down there, you see that little shack-looking house.
Yes, I do.
All right, the house looks similar to that. It would have had a flat roof. Just would have been a small shack, about 100 yards past that, down towards the river. There's a little house there. So the 1st of December, 1873, one of the Horrells, Ben Horrell, is in town with his buddies, Jack Gillum, Dave Warner. They're drinking, having a good time, shooting off their guns in town. And the locals are like, hey, Sheriff, you need to do something about this. So the Constable Martinez comes down, kind of diffuses the situation. Those guys decide, okay, we're going to move on down to someplace else and quiet down the party. Now, one thing I like to talk about on my tours is that when you mix guns and alcohol, bad things happen, okay? So if you take nothing else away from that, guns and alcohol equals bad things happen. All right, so these guys are drunk, shooting off their guns, got them in trouble at first. Now they've moved down to this little house by the river. So they get some more ammo, find another gun or two, another couple of bottles of booze. They're having a good old time, and they're outside that little shack shooting up into the air, hooting and hollering, having a good time. Townspeople are like, okay, we've had enough. So the legal record says that Martinez deputized a handful of locals and went down there, although witnesses say it's more like 30.
Wow.
A mob of about 30 people, all armed.
It's a lot.
They go down and surround this little shack. The guys are inside partying, having a good time. They bang on the door, and Dave Warner steps out. He answers the door, and he doesn't get time to get an explanation from the sheriff as to why they're there. All he sees is 30 armed, angry guys with weapons pointed at him. So he thinks the jig is up. He pulls his revolver out, shoots the sheriff right there, shoots Martinez dead right there in front of him. Well, the mob is not happy. So naturally the mob unloads their weapons, and Dave Warner quickly dies right there in the doorway of that small little house. Now inside the house is still Jack Gillum and Ben Horrell. And if you've ever been inside a thinly walled house while it's being all shot up by angry men on the other side, I can assure you it is a motivating factor to beat feet and head on out the back, which is exactly what these guys do. They try and run down to the river, which is right down there. And as they're running, they get wounded. Both of them get wounded. Horrell is able to make it about 10, 15 yards further than Gillum, but they both are wounded and fall down in the field. They cry out for help. They've been shot. They surrender. They're throwing their guns down. Please help us. The mob surrounds them. There's a bunch of shots heard. Then everybody goes back home like nothing happened. The next day, Horrell's body is found with 9 bullets in it. Jack Gillum's with 13.
Well, what year was
This
that?
is in 1873.
1873. Now,
Yes, sir.
And what is the period when Billy the Kid was here?
Now, Billy gets here in late 1877.
Okay, 1877.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Now,
Now this building over here. I mean, I didn't mean to interrupt your story.
No, you're
but this tower-looking thing over here, there's gun ports all the way around it.
that's a Torreon. That's what the original settlers, when they would have came here, would have built as a way to protect themselves from the Indian raids.
Called a Torreon.
The Torreon, yeah.
Torreon.
It would have actually been 1 story higher, and there would have been a taller wall around it. This
All
is a recreation that they did in the 30s, that they kind of restored it so you'd have something to look at.
Okay. Would this be what I'm looking at? When I'm looking down this street, is this pretty much the way it was or would have looked in the 1870s?
Actually, yeah, Rusty. Except for everybody's got a pitched roof now. You think if everybody then would have had a flat roof.
Okay.
Okay, so
That's
you
right,
would
yeah.
look across the town. There'd be a lot less trees because everybody, burn firewood, and you're going to go to the closest wood you can.
Right.
So there's a lot less trees at that time around the village.
What about the population? 1,000, 1,500?
No, a couple hundred at most.
Okay.
But you're close to the reservation and the fort,
Okay.
and then you've got smaller communities down there. So Lincoln becomes the trading hub,
All
not
right.
just at Fort Stanton, but it becomes an easier place for these smaller communities down along the Hondo and everything, like San Patricio.
Right. But now, you had Fort Stanton, and that was the Mescalero Apache Reservation?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So the reservation doesn't touch Fort Stanton. It's off a ways. You think of Ruidoso now, so it would have been
Yeah.
on the other side of the Ruidoso.
Well, when the fort was here, though, there was no reservation, right? I mean, they were fighting the Indians or not?
So they had it was a makeshifty kind of reservation. I'm not sure if the official stuff had all passed. Man, it's hard to talk with the traffic.
Yeah, it is.
I'd have to look into the specifics of
Okay,
the
I'm just
reservation,
curious.
but I know that whenever the Indians were moved there because of the Bosque Redondo and the whole situation up north of Fort Sumner and that terrible incident, they were moved down there, and so Fort Stanton was responsible for all the Mescalero that were here.
Now, it was also responsible for the Lincoln County Wars, because weren't they trying? The 2 merchants were vying for the fort's business. Is that correct?
Sort of. So you've got basically one group, which is the Murphy Dolan faction, that are all veterans. They know the system, and they've been working the system at Fort Stanton
Okay.
once they get out of the Army there, and they continue to work there. They even get in trouble and get kicked out, which is why they established their headquarters here. but they don't lose their contracts, so they're still supplying the Army. But yes, people wanted the beef contracts and, of course, the dry goods. They were competing. Tunstall, which was a young English guy, came into the area. Unfortunately, he paired up with this lawyer named Alexander McSween, who was probably the shadiest person in the whole war, but that gets painted over.
Well, is that the store down the street here?
Yes, sir. We're going to get to that.
Okay, let's go.
Get to that.
All right. Well, this is interesting. I have to put my, and this is a great day to do this. Why? Because it's not blistering hot, for one thing. And yeah, it just kind of gives it a little flavor, you know? Torreon. All right, I went inside that. It's pretty interesting.
You think, I guess if people are attacking you and you wanted a safe place to go, that would be one.
But if I was the Indians, I'd just sit down. They got to come out sooner or later, right?
That's true, but they could get elevated and keep them from a distance, keep them pinned away with their fire, so.
I don't know, man.
It's better than nothing.
Is this one of the old original buildings or not?
Well, sir, this is the Huff, would have been the Huff House in the
This right
late
here?
1870s. It's been added on to now.
Okay, this is the Huff House, or was, but it's been added on. Okay.
During the Lincoln County War.
Would that have been the original roof, you think, on this side?
No, sir, I'm sure that's been
Fixed up.
for tourism purposes at some
Yeah, I
point.
got you. Never mind. And then this, where the flag is that right over here on the right?
That's the Tunstall store is going to be right next to that.
Okay.
Now the Huff House, the guy who lived there by the name of Daniel Huff, he was poisoned in July of 1878.
A woman.
Actually, during the climax of the Lincoln County War, known as the 5-day battle, Huff was the first casualty unrelated to the war. He was poisoned to death. Now, some people claim that it was because of his affections for a married woman,
I can bet on
specifically
it.
Mrs. McSween, which she claimed. But it's actually because the guy had a bad habit of going to the brothels in town,
I hear you.
and his wife had had enough of his shenanigans.
Well, it's a woman thing to do a poisoning, okay? That's a female thing.
He died in considerable pain and was buried right back here, actually.
Okay. And now this would have been the, whose is this, Tunstall?
This would have been the Tunstall store, yes, sir. And it's built like a fort. If you look at some of these spots, you can see the metal plates that's in between these. It was
Okay.
built like that because it also housed a bank.
Oh, there was a bank. Okay.
So John Chisholm helped fund the
Well,
bank.
now, would this have been about the original size of this mercantile?
Yes, most of it. Now the far end, kind of where it makes that curve, that's been added on
Okay.
since the original structure.
But I mean, it looks
But
like
everything in here, yes, sir, is.
it's not open. It says closed.
Now it's closed. Yeah.
That's right. I mean, I was in there. Let me see if I can. Would those be some of the original items in there?
I don't know if all these are original items, but I know that when it was taken over, as many period correct items as they could find, and a lot of items that had been left over in the store through the years are on display.
Okay. Lead on. You're the boss.
All right, so let's talk about, about Billy the Kid's famous because he killed Sheriff Brady. Have you heard that story?
Well, no, but you can tell me about it.
Okay, well, that's one of the
Well, now,
things he's
where
famous
was
for.
the jailhouse?
Okay, so where we stood at the visitor center originally, a few hundred yards just east of us in a field would have been a hole in the ground with a little building over it called the Carcel. It was the pit jail.
Okay.
I think Young Guns 2 does a terrible job of it, but they show that there was a pit jail, and that's actually the only jail there was from about 76 on.
All right.
And until when Billy the Kid himself was brought in, they decided they needed something better, so they started making room at the old Murphy Dolan store, which the state had then bought. And so they built that as the jail. That I say built that. They didn't build any structure. It just became the jail, an easier place for them to watch guys.
And that's where he escaped and then shot one of the guards outside, is that
Yes,
correct?
sir. Shot Ollinger. We'll go down there. We'll talk about that in just a
Okay,
second.
let's head that way.
Well, hang on before
okay,
you're here.
Okay.
So when they shot Brady, they would have been standing. The regulators would have been standing right back here. There would have been a little fence that went here. This building right here to the right would have been gone, and they were right in here when Brady and his deputies passed by coming along here. You might have to step out into the street to see it. where this fire hydrant is across the street is actually where Brady fell.
Okay.
There's a marker up on the ground, but it's actually where the fire hydrant fell. And then, of course, Deputy Hindman was just a few feet ahead of him.
Well, what
He
the hell
was
were they
shot too.
killing themselves for? What was the deal? They just didn't like each other, or what?
Well,
I mean, there had to be money involved or something.
people hold the grudge. And the reason Brady was on the list is because they held him responsible because he put together the posse that killed John Tunstall. So the
Okay.
regulators had a not necessarily written out list, but they had a mental list of people they held responsible
Who
for
were the
killing
regulators?
John Tunstall.
Who were the regulators?
The regulators were a lot of John Tunstall's employees,
Okay.
friends, and a lot of the local Hispanics who had beef with the Murphy and Dolan faction as well.
Was Billy the Kid one of
Billy the Kid was one of the regulators. Have you seen the movie Young Guns?
the? No.
Okay. So they do a job of telling you about the regulators. It was just a smaller group of guys who decided they were going to go and get vengeance.
Well, did
for
they
John
all
Tunstall.
get killed?
It didn't work out for some of them. A couple of their leaders got killed, like Dick Brewer, Frank McNabb. Frank McNabb is also buried
Dick
there.
Brewer. Is that
Dick
the
Brewer.
name? The Brewers that still live here today?
No, that's a separate family
Okay.
and a separate thing. But it would be cool if the gas station and the ranch and all that was his
Ti-
family. But he
It
got
ain't.
killed before he could
Okay.
accomplish that task.
All right. Well, you lead on. I'll follow you.
All right. Let's keep going. Let's go by the ruins and we'll keep going out towards the courthouse to talk about Billy's last escape.
Talk about Billy's what?
His last escape, which is
Okay.
what you're talking about,
Yes.
where he shot him.
Yeah, that was in a movie, but was that Young Guns, or I think there was there was
It's in just about every Billy the Kid movie.
Yeah.
They have a version of it.
But that actually happened.
Yes, sir, it did. We'll actually go stand right on the spot where it happened here. Just
All right. Were the streets like this? I mean, these walkways, were they made out of wood, or do you think?
I don't know.
And the streets were just dirt.
The streets, yeah, just dirt.
Okay.
I would guess they would have had walkways here.
Oh, look at here. There goes old Billy the Kid now. Kind of upgraded, didn't he? Billy got him a new horse.
Right?
How y'all doing? Hi, where are you from?
I'm from Texas and they're from Arizona.
Are you Billy the Kid?
Well, let's hope not. He's my grandson.
You could be reincarnated, son.
I'm a kid and I have a friend named Billy.
Well, that's close enough. You win the prize.
That counts.
This building here on the right, was it here?
Now this would have been the old McSween house. This would have been
Ah.
a U-shaped structure, Rusty.
Okay.
So this is where Billy the Kid made a famous escape during the climax of the Lincoln County War in the 5-day battle. Him and some of his buddies were trapped here. It was all that was left of the McSween faction. Everybody else had fled town. They had just a small group of guys pinned down in this house right here. Now, this is built on the ruins, obviously, but it would have been a U shape. So you imagine it would have gone out like this, and the left corner would have been just past what we see here. And then right back here, if you step back, you can see where there's a window. That would have been where the northeast kitchen
Okay.
door was, and that's where Billy the Kid and his crew came out. If you look where the ground starts to slope right here, there would have been a small picket fence that ran this distance. So when they escaped, they had to go through this fence. Now the whole house is on fire. It's
Yeah, they tried to burn them out.
after 9 o'clock. It's dark all around. First guys get about halfway through this yard right here before they're seen, and then all hell breaks loose.
Well, I'm telling you, it's like war, man.
Yeah, well, they say in the Dudley court later that it was over 2,000 rounds fired. That's a lot of rounds firing cowboy guns.
No kidding, man.
Yeah. So they escaped through here. There's a guy killed right here, Morris. Billy the Kid and his buddies come on through. The firing is so bad from guys at the corner of the Tunstall store, from here, there, the back, every direction. So they're forced to scramble down that brush and into the Rio Bonito and get across.
But you know, Billy the Kid must have lived a charmed life, because I don't think he ever got shot before he finally got killed, did he?
Well, no, he did actually. During the Brady murder, when they killed the sheriff up here, what happens is the sheriff and his deputy are laying there in the road. They're dead, dying. All the rest of the regulators that have participated are getting on their horses, which are in the corral in the Tunstall store behind you.
Yeah.
But In the Army, we have an expression called alone and unafraid, and that's what Billy the Kid did. We've got witnesses that say he comes running out in the middle of the street and he runs over to Sheriff Brady's body. And Sheriff Brady had taken a rifle off of Billy the Kid a few weeks earlier. So it's thought that he was going out to get that rifle, and he reaches down to get that rifle, and one of the deputies that's scattered during this ambush is across the street, Deputy Matthews, and he looks up, and Matthews says he sees the kid, and he takes a shot. Well, a shot goes through the kid's inner left thigh, knocks him right on his seat. He forgets all about the Winchester that he's trying to pick up, jumps up, and he scoots boots right into the corral behind the Tunstall store. So there's a hole in the Tunstall store if you ever get a chance to go in, and there's a question in the back. In the back, there's a floorboard that's cut out and a hole underneath. People always question whether it was Billy the Kid or another regulator by the name of Jim French. It was actually the kid, because we have a witness. Amelia Bolton Church tells us in her interviews that it's Billy the Kid specifically, because she knows him. She's seen him before, doesn't have a high opinion of him. It's hard to talk over these
I know.
things. It's better when it's 18-wheelers.
Yeah.
So the kid's wounded, the rest of the regulators leave him. They take off out of town. So they tourniquet his wound as best they can. They use that floorboard where it's pried up. They put him underneath there. He's hiding out. People are searching for him. Hours later, they've given up the ghost. Other people are rounded up. They move off to Fort Stand, and people have kind of forgotten. They think he's gotten away, and that's when Miss Church says the kid walks out of that corral calmly. He's just got his hat down. He's leading his horse out of that corral, turns out of the corral, heads back down to the Rio Bonita, starts walking across, gets about halfway across, gets on his horse, and that's about the time somebody in town recognizes him. Miss Church says there's a whole ruckus of people come out, and they're lining the street and the hills, and they can see it's the kid, and there's Dolan guys and posse members taking shots at him, and all these shots are falling short. He heads back east. He's heading back towards the Ellis store. There's a little knoll down there just behind where we were standing at the visitor center. He gets there. He realizes those rounds are hitting in the dirt too, coming short.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
out of range. But to show his character, and Miss Church points out exactly what he does. He turns around, realizing these rounds are falling short. He turns around and faces everybody that's up here looking at him, and he tips his hat. Turns his horse, takes off east towards
I
San
like
Patricia.
that. That's a touch of
Good
class.
character.
Yeah,
Good
hell yeah. I like that. I mean, nobody else probably liked it, but I thought it was cute. Little touch of class. But so about 100 people lived here, and so far we've killed about 400.
Yeah, I think it was about 200-300.
Yeah.
Probably no more than that. And that's probably a lot of
Now
people
these old
moving in and out of the area too.
houses across the street on the left, are those some of the old buildings?
Some of these are ruins from like the Stanley House. And I think there was that may be further down where the old wagon station, the stagecoach stop
Right.
was.
This building here on the right, is it anything that was here, or?
I don't know. I don't have any cool gunfighter stories about that one.
Well, let's go on then.
That's
No, let's keep the
very limited.
let's keep the cool gunfighter stories going.
It's a beautiful little walkway down here. Now that's
Yeah, this right here, I've taken that down by the river.
so let's stop right here and look. You know where these picnic tables are.
All right.
There was a dude killed right here. 1877, a dude by the name of Armstrong.
Oh, Armstrong.
He comes into town. He's friends with a guy named Frank Freeman. Frank Freeman, it's a different story. Just know that he caused some trouble and got chased out of town essentially. And a couple of weeks later, this mysterious guy named Armstrong shows up at the saloon here, starts running his mouth how he's gonna go get Frank Freeman, and they're gonna come back and burn down the town. He goes to the next place to stop and drink, and he tells everybody else, "Oh, we're coming back. Gonna come back with Frank Freeman." Well, the town is like, "We're not gonna let this guy just leave." So constable gets a couple of guys to come arrest him. Only they've blocked the way for Armstrong to be able to run to his horse. So they open fire. He starts shooting back. He runs down here, gets to about the picnic tables before he's shot down. And then a couple of weeks later, a posse from here hunts down Frank Freeman. They kill him down near Tinney.
Well, they settled every argument with a gun, right? I mean, there was no sitting out and negotiating, and nobody started screaming they had their rights and all this kind of stuff,
That's
right?
true. That's because when you mix guns and alcohol, bad things happen, Rusty.
Well, you could be
Bad
sober
things
and
happen.
still do some bad shit, I'm sure.
That's true.
Now, this building on the right here, this is something built new.
Something. You'll have to like insert caption here of whatever it is.
I got you. We're going to head on down. So right up there where that for sale sign is that where we're headed? Or further?
Yes, sir. We're gonna stop at these ruins up here first.
Okay. And your name again is?
My name is Brandon Dixon.
Brandon Dixon?
Yes,
Well,
sir.
whenever someone comes here to visit and they want a tour guide, how do they get you?
I'm on Facebook, Most Dangerous Street Tours at gmail.com, or that's at Gmail. And Facebook is at Most Dangerous Tours. I've got a Facebook page there.
Okay, Facebook is Most Dangerous
Most
Tours.
Dangerous Tours? Yes, sir.
Okay. Is it a fee tour?
Yes, sir.
What do you charge?
It depends on the length of the tour. I have different
Well, say-
different packages. For a basic tour, for a group is usually a 125.
That's fair.
And that takes just over an hour, closer to 90 minutes because I tend to ramble on if people ask questions.
Well, hell, that's what it's all about, just relax and enjoy the walk.
Yeah, it's a fun time.
Yeah,
Keeps me busy.
yeah, and the fact that where did you get the weapons?
These I've just collected over the years. In the Army, I just had the habit of wanting to collect guns.
Gotcha.
Promised myself one day when I get out and have some fun, so I'll get guns I
Well, what are
like,
those,
so.
44s?
These are both 38s.
38.
I have 45s that I wear sometimes. I try and change it up. That way, if you take the tour twice, it's not the same.
Well, what did Billy the Kid have?
He had different guns. People argue what he's most famous for is having a 41 caliber Colt Thunderer,
41?
self-cocking. Yes, sir. Sometimes people call it a Lightning. It's a self-cocking pistol. It's actually a terrible choice.
Yeah.
If you look at reviews today, they can even tell you. But that's what they say he preferred. Although in the picture we have of him, he's carrying a new Army. It looks like a 45.
He was ugly as a mud fence, man.
Well, the ladies seem to like him, but yes.
Well, they liked him because he looked like he needed to be taken care of,
Is that the strategy?
Well,
'Cause
but
maybe
the
that's how I got
nurturing,
my
and
old
when
lady,
they
I don't
looked
know.
at him, they could just see a little boy,
Right.
and that's it. The nurturing instinct took over.
Certainly, if he's as young as the new research has proved, he would have been 15, just almost 16
they
when he
loved
shot
him.
the sheriff down there.
Yeah.
If that stuff proves out. Okay, so we're looking at some ruins that look pretty inconspicuous.
You talking about right here?
Right here, yes. So you had asked about the jail earlier. Now the sheriff in 1875, excuse me, Ham Mills character. Okay, there was no jail at the time. So if he took a prisoner, you had to bring him home and he had to sit with you. So you had to watch him until the judge came to town to
Okay.
contest everything, right? So he's sitting in there with his wife, Maria Mills, very famous for her beauty. Small, I mean, look at the size of this.
I would say it's small.
So you're in there with the prisoner, your wife, and just down the street, of course, they hear music. It's a ballet, a dance going on. There's a whole party. Well, his young wife wants to go to the party, and the sheriff, has to watch the prisoner, so she starts, honey, I want to go. Honey, can we go? Honey, let's go. And you know how that's going to end up. You got to give in if you want any chance of peace.
Right.
Right? Happy wife, happy life. So he's like, okay, what am I going to do with this prisoner? So he walks him right out here, out his front door. Points to these mountains right there, same mountains. Points right there, unlocks his shackles and says, you run for it. I don't ever want to see you in Lincoln again. And so that guy thinks, hey, it's my lucky day. Gets about 10 steps when he hears the click of the revolver. And of course, Ham Mills shoots him down. Then he's seen a couple hours later at the dance with his wife, having a good old time. And people say, hey, we arrested a guy. Where's the prisoner? And he's like, oh, I had to shoot him. He was trying to escape. Trying to escape.
What an idiot.
Now, Mills was a good character because you got to think he was a hard drinking dude, too. He had a half brother by the name of Steve Stanley. And both of them were drinking down here by the Bonita one day. Ran out of bottles to shoot and decided because they were such good shots, One of them, we don't know which because they both have the same outcome, sticks out his finger and says, "Why don't you just shoot the tip of my finger off if you're so good?" And the other one does, shoots part of his finger off. So now he's got enough. So he's, "Hey, it's my turn. You stick out your finger now." And the guy's like, "All right," because when you mix guns and alcohol, bad things happen, obviously. Sticks out his finger. Of course, the other brother shoots that one off to the knuckle. So both of them had nub fingers. Nub-fingered half-brothers, Stephen Stanley and Ham Mills. Interesting characters.
I'm really impressed by the level of intelligence, you know. I mean, these people were sharp, you know.
Yeah. Guns and alcohol, Rusty.
I mean, good God.
Guns and alcohol.
How genius. Why didn't I think of that? Yeah. Okay, let's do about 5 or 8 more minutes.
Yeah,
okay?
we'll just finish up here with the,
Great,
with
great,
the thing, man.
Perfect.
I go on forever, sorry.
No, well, if you have a lot to say, you know, you've done these tours, then that's great. But what happens, number one, the battery won't last forever doing videos.
Well, I don't want to bore your viewers.
Oh, you're not going to bore them.
off the screen.
No, that's my job.
We'll cross here.
That's my
Oh,
job.
no,
I bore my viewers.
I can't tell you what a comfort it was to watch your videos when I didn't live here. I lived in Oklahoma for
Yeah.
a few years, and that's when I found your videos. And I would come up here in the summer and camp and do stuff to volunteer up here in Lincoln.
Oh, it's a great place to be, man.
Oh,
Particularly in the summer.
Yeah, man, I like your videos even when you're just driving. You just get to watch. You're like, oh, it's so pretty there.
Yeah, well, that's what I hope for, is that somebody is seeing something that they may not ever see, or maybe they will choose to come here one day. Who knows?
Yeah, boy, it's tough to beat here.
It's,
Gas prices could be better, but
that's all. I mean, well, they're
that's
bad
everywhere.
They're bad everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, but if you have to be everywhere, no matter where you are, you're there. You know, so
Yeah, make the best of it.
yeah, we're here. You know, and beautiful day. You know, Billy the Kid just shot 90 people. You know. Well, how many people is he credited with actually killing?
So they often spin the tale of he died at 21 and killed 21 men, which makes it inconvenient with the fact of him being much younger than that.
Yeah. What if he was 15?
And he didn't kill 21 men. So he was involved in killing probably 9 to maybe a dozen you could stretch out.
Well, not,
But him personally, you're talking about 2 guards here, Joe Grant.
yeah.
He shot at Brady.
Well, you
And
know,
then it gets gray because he's just a participant in several other murders.
but a lot of these shootings back in the Old West, I read a little bit about it. They didn't necessarily go out in the street and fight. Somebody just shoot another guy in the back. You know.
Yeah, I mean, ideally they didn't give each other a chance.
Yeah.
Although nub-fingered Steve Stanley had a duel right down there, which is one of the few actual duels of the Old West. We were lucky to have it. That's a different story. I'll tell you that off cam.
Okay.
This is where Bob Ollinger died. This is
Hold on here. Let me get my camera over this. Go ahead.
He is a famous deputy, famous bully of Lincoln, a not so humble and also extremely good looking tour guide that you may or may not be talking to. Has several upcoming articles and magazines about old Bob Ollinger coming up here.
Good.
But this is where he was killed. He's actually buried over at Fort Stanton. But if you look right up here, that's the window where the kid was standing when they shot him.
Right here?
Yes, sir. So you
Oh.
got to figure
Hello, Billy.
10 yards, 15 yards
With a shotgun? Oh, it
it's
just
going to do you.
blew him apart, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, where he made the mistake. You don't bully a guy, you know. I mean, particularly like that rattlesnake Billy the Kid. You know, he's going to get you if he can, you know.
Yeah, and the thing is he was warned. There's a newspaper article about it. He was warned before he came down here, and Garrett even warned him too. But of course, you know Ollinger.
Apparently.
Yeah, and like many young men and probably gunfighters, they're 10 feet tall and bulletproof until they're not.
Well, he ain't now. How old was he? About?
His age is in debate because they
Okay.
think there's some reports that he was born in 1841. However, he was younger than his older brother, who was born in 1850. So it's got to be in the early 1850s.
So he's in his late 20s, probably 30s, maybe.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Where do we go from here now? You lead.
Oh no, just we can finish up
Okay,
here
okay.
if you need to wrap it up. But you think he heard the shot while he was across the street at the Wortley.
Who heard the shot?
Ollinger. Ollinger had taken some prisoners over there to dinner. It's about 6 p.m. on the 28th.
Well, so he shot one guard
Yes.
upstairs.
So while he's sitting down to dinner,
Okay.
allegedly
okay.
pot roast, the only redeeming quality I've ever found.
No, I hear
about
you.
Bob Ollinger. He hears a shot. He thinks the other deputies probably killed the kid.
Ah,
So he comes running over here. Meanwhile, the kid has a gun. He's gotten into the armory. He's grabbed a shotgun and another pistol,
got it.
maybe even another Winchester, because they see him with several weapons just after that.
Got it.
So while he's running here, that deputy that's shot, he's able to stumble down the back stairway. He stumbles out. The groundskeeper.
Is there a stairway in the back?
Yes, it empties out into the back. It comes
Okay.
downstairs inside.
All
I
right.
think it's closed right now.
That's all right.
But he comes out, he stumbles outside and dies in front of the groundskeeper. Groundskeeper's like, oh crap, I gotta go tell the other deputy what's going on. He comes around, there's a fence right here. This would have been inside a corral. So about the time that groundskeeper Goss comes through this corral, it's about the time Ollinger's coming through, right about here where this water spout is.
Okay.
They come here. Goss has got a heavy German accent, so Ollinger can't understand what he's saying. Right about the time he gets here, just a few feet away from this office door right here, he hears, hey, the kid has killed Bell, and about that time he catches a movement just a few feet up there, and that window, the lower portion was open. The kid just would have popped out, fired a shot, dropped Ollinger dead right here.
That would have done it.
Then he's not done. He comes out the balcony,
Yeah.
and he comes around. There's no stairway really at the time, but the balcony is there, and you can see standing up there, you can see Ollinger's body is still laying here.
Okay.
And when he comes out, he says a few things, and he sees this body. He still has the guy's shotgun. He fires the second barrel into Ollinger, and then he smashes the shotgun over the railing and tosses it down here. So not only does he blow him away once, he blows him away twice.
He made sure.
Which to me makes it hard to go, hey, Billy the Kid was just a good guy.
He was mean.
I mean, hey.
He was just plain old mean.
But there is the old Texas saying, he had it coming, so maybe Ollinger, hey, you pick on a guy long enough.
I get. Well, no, you're true. You're right. And yeah, he had him pinned up. That was the bad thing.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's funny you say that, because one of the quotes he says as the kid's coming out, he kicks the body, and he's like, "You're not going to corral me up again."
Yeah,
Like, "You're not gonna pin me
that
up
makes
again," you know?
sense. You know, that ain't gonna happen again. But anyway, is there anything you want to say to the audience about your tours or promote your?
Oh no, hit me up. I'm happy to do it. I'm available all the time, whenever.
All right.
I enjoy doing it. It's a fun time.
Facebook is what is your deal? there?
Facebook at Most Dangerous Tours, or on Gmail, it's mostdangeroustours@gmail.com.
Most dangerous tours at gmail.com.
Yes, sir. And I've got posters up in Lincoln. If you get here and you're like, hey, what's there to do? Just give me a call. I'll
Very
come
good.
Cruising up and take you on a tour.
Well, I certainly appreciate it, and your dog was very obedient.
Oh, he better be. He'd be out of a job.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you,
I
sir.
mean that.
Thank you for your videos. I'm a
Sure, you
fan,
bet,
so I
man.
appreciate it.
Anyway, from Lincoln in New Mexico, this is Rusty 78609 saying, thumbs up, guys. Carpe diem, adios, bye-bye. Buy anything you want. Use the Amazon link. Drink plenty of water, stretch, walk. And if you want to go on the tour, check out Most Dangerous Tours,
Most Dangerous Street Tours.
Most Dangerous Street Tours. And that's on Facebook.